G'day guys, goeiedag, hoe gaan dit? My name is Wildkard, welcome back to my channel. Rugby Championship Round 3, Springboks versus Argentina in Johannesburg. Wow, this was a really interesting kind of game. Going into this game, I did feel like both teams have a very similar play style, and just the fact that the Springboks has a stronger, a more disciplined, a more well-drilled forward pack, I felt like the Springboks was going to edge this one out just with the sheer dominance of the forward pack. Little did I expect that the Argentinians was going to come out in the second half and just really pound the Springboks for the majority of the second half. And and really just heroic defense by the Springbok team to hold that off and then to find themselves very few opportunities to get the turnaround and close out the game. 22 points to 21. The Argentinians really brought this game to the Springboks. And, going into this game as well, the Argentinians had made a few changes to their back line, to their forward pack. And one of the biggest talking points was who's going to be the goal kicker for the Argentinians. They had Emiliano Boffelli, the number 15, who is a world-class goal kicker in the 90s, 85% success rate. And he was, Michael Cheika opted to rest him for this match. So really, with Carreras taking over the goal kicking, with the style both teams were kind of expected to be playing, there was, expected to be, the points would be very few, lots of penalties. There was a number of goal kicks that could have been taken and could have been landed by Boffelli that was missed by Carreras. And that, in the end, looking back, could really made a big difference to the results, right? So yeah, maybe Michael Cheika, looking back in hindsight, should have probably put Boffelli maybe on the bench, even, especially in a tight game, to close out the game, coming off the bench to close out the game. If he wants a bit of a rest, could have had him on the bench. But yeah, really, the goal kicking turned out to be the big difference between the two teams. And I thought the Argentinians, unlike the Springboks, really kind of had a bit more running game than the Springboks did. The Springboks is one of those teams that likes to play zone control, like to play in a different, they wanted to play in the right areas. But just because how much pressure the Argentinians were putting under the Springboks, I felt like when they did get the opportunity, sometimes they probably just kicked it away a bit too prematurely. There was a couple of high balls into the 22 by Faf de Klerk when the Springboks was kind of like in that green zone, if you want to call it, around the 22's area. And I just felt like that was unnecessary, and it was too big of a kick as well, like well into the 22. And it was contested, but wasn't really effective enough. And really just let off a lot of the pressure that the Springboks could have applied with their forward pack. Something that was definitely showing dominance in set piece, in the scrummaging, in the lineouts. And also, talking about scrummaging, the Argentinian scrum was really struggling a bit with Cajo against Franz Malherbe, as we were expecting. Cajo was literally folded up in the first half by Malherbe in the scrummaging. But in the second half, the scrum was much better. The heavier Argentinian reserves came onto the field. Really made a big difference in the second half in the scrummaging. The set piece for both teams, the Springboks defended really well. And the Springboks was also, defended quite well by the Argentinians, but the Springboks was able to pull a little extra trick out of the back to get a try on the ball with the maul by jamming the backs into it as well. But this was an interesting game. This was a really kind of, I thought, was unexpected, to say the least. I almost felt like the Springboks in the second half, they almost felt like they had the game in the bag, and it was almost to the point where they're just happy to play the ball in the happy to just hold on to the lead they had, and they weren't really interested to apply pressure. It almost like looked like that the case to me for the Springboks side. I thought that the national anthem for this game for the Springboks was absolutely unbelievable. I've never heard the Springbok national anthem that good, and I've listened to a lot of the Springbok national anthems in my life just by watching rugby games. And this was they somehow made it like they made it into like a lionskin kind of like feel to it. They had like the a lot of the beats that like, yeah, you literally felt like this was they've like somehow mixed it up with the style that the Lions King had, and it was just unbelievable. He sounded like amazing. The Springbok national this the South African national anthem that was sung at the start of the game. It was like the best I've ever heard. And yeah, with that being said, also I thought the Vili LaRue, there was one point where Vili LaRue was doing a bit of set up a try at the beginning for Ibn Esbeth. That play from Vili LaRue was unbelievable. Just blew my mind. The accuracy, the sharpness of the pass, the how flat Ibn was on the wing, and he went just pinpoint accurate to Ibn's pocket. And I know it was Cardell pass as well. He picked exactly the right person with just like, you know, inches of space to land that pass to Ibn Esbeth on the wing. And yeah, and he landed and Ibn scored, and it was, yeah, I thought it was really, really impressive as well by Vili LaRue. So yeah, let's have a look at some of the match stats from this game. 3 tries to 2. 1 point was the difference. The Argentinians missed two penalties. And yeah, it was proven to be quite painful. Springboks 399 run meters to the Argentinians 244. At halftime, the Springboks had 192 run meters, overwhelming dominance, to the Argentina's 42. Yes, so Argentina really took control of the game, pulled it out of the fire in the second half, really showed a lot more venture in their attacks. This is something the Springboks probably wanted to forget. 20 turnovers conceded out of this match. That is extremely high. That is criminally high for any team, not just international testing. Any team, if you want to win a test match, 20 turnovers is definitely something that you want on your books. Argentina much better on that regard. 8 turnovers conceded. Tackles made 179 for the Springboks at halftime. Only 58 tackles was made and needed to be done for the Springboks, and 52 tackles was made for Argentina in the first half. So Argentina only had to make 42 tackles, and then the Springboks had to make over 100 tackles, 120 something tackles in the second half. So yeah, really just like the Argentinians was really able to turn the game around, and Springboks was all credit to them, was able to hold on and maintain, not just holding on, but maintain that tackle success rate. Only 25 missed tackles. So the second half, the Springboks missed. So they already missed 8 in the first at halftime. So the second half, the Springboks actually missed, had a better tackle completion rate. So second half, the Springboks missed 16 tackles in the second half, out of like 100 something tackles made. So yeah, so that was, that was quite good defense for the Springboks as well in the second half. The kicking game, surprisingly, Argentina was able to control a lot better. Was able to, especially in that second half, the Argentinians was able to keep the Springboks largely inside their own half and not able to exit. And finally, when the Springboks did able to get inside the Argentina half, I felt like, yeah, Faf de Klerk probably pulled the trigger a bit too early with those high balls into the 22. Conversions, Springboks missed 1 conversion, man in the block, and from the wing, I think it was, from the sideline with the Ibn Esbeth try. But yeah, the Argentinians, look, 1 missed conversion, 2 missed penalties. If any of those, especially the penalties were really the painful ones, because there was 2 was quite easy. Like it was pretty much straight in front, I would say, like not 100 like right in front, but a tiny bit of an angle. Especially, and if you, yeah, I felt like it was a bit, both of them were a little bit out, like had a bit of distance on it. Maybe Carrera was just an inexperience, trying to push it a little bit too much. I don't know. But yeah, 2 missed penalties. Really, really, really painful for the Argentinians, especially considering, yeah, knowing that the penalty is going to be a key area against the Springboks. It's yeah, really painful. 2 scrums for the Springboks, 7 for the Argentinians, 1 scrum loss. That was like I said, the Springbok scrum, especially in the first half, quite outmatched in the tight head spot with Franz Malherbe up against Gajo, the loose air prop for Argentina, who's more of a ball carrier than a set piece guy. Gajo talked about it in the preview, and sure enough, Malherbe showed him that what it means to be a professional front rower. You know, the fancy running is not gonna cut your paycheck if you can't do the scrummaging. The penalties conceded, the Springboks conceded 12 overall and 10 for the Argentinians. Again, much better discipline for the Argentina overall. The Springboks conceded only 5, so a little bit worse in the second half. There was 1 yellow card in the second half where the Springboks had to play the last 10 minutes with a player in the bin. Damien Dialendi got a yellow card for deliberate knock-on. I felt like it was a little bit unlucky. It wasn't too bad. Like, he was kind of like, trying to cover up, or it was like kind of like a weird situation where the Argentina kind of made a half break. Argentina player made a half break, and he was trying to throw the ball back, and so like Dialendi was kind of like in an offside position, because of the half break. So the ball throws back, and like Dialendi just had the almost like a natural reaction to try to to block the ball, and he just knocked the ball down. Deliberate knock on, cynical in an offside position. So it was a yellow card. That was a little bit unlucky there for him. And so let's have a look at some of the key moments of this game. Right from the beginning, actually, Grant Williams only played this like 10 seconds into this game from the kickoff. He was trying to do a clearance kick from the kickoff. The Argentina put a really deep kickoff to the Springboks, and Grant Williams was trying to clear it, and then I think Matias Carreras jumps up in the air, charges the ball down, and then simultaneously basically asserted his hip into Grant Williams' head and knocked him out. Right from the kickoff. Luckily, the referee said that I thought this was going to be a red card. I thought it was game over. 30 seconds into the game, I thought it was already over. But luckily, the Argentinian player actually touched the ball in the charge down. So it was deemed that, that was a charge down, and it was unavoidable contact to the head. And there was no card. It was just play on. So I thought that was, some referees could have probably taken that as a red card. To be honest, that was, or maybe even, could have been a red card in some situations there. Argentina had 2 early penalties to them. Immediately they were getting a penalty from the get-go, 2 minutes in. So Carreras kicked the first one, and then less than 10 minutes into the game, they get another penalty. Carreras kicks another one. So it was looking quite good for Carreras. I mean, getting your first 2 goal kicks was quite important, especially, in a high-pressure test match like this. But then, he kind of fallen off the wheel a little bit in the second half for Carreras' goal kicking. So the game played on, was a bit of a back and forward. The Springboks had the set piece dominance early, but wasn't able to hold their discipline. It took 19 minutes for the Springboks to put some sustained pressure into the Argentina 22. And again, I thought it was so impressive. The Springboks was doing their forward stuff, crashing, pounding the try line, pounding with the physical dominance. And then Villarreal moves up into playmaker position, and he just sees the mismatch out wide. He gets the ball, really takes on the line, last second, and it was a pinpoint flat ball. Really, took it on to the line, and then pinpoint accurate cut-out pass to Eben Esbeth on the win. And Eben Esbeth was matched up against, I think it was Imhoff, who was like half his weight, and Eben Esbeth just run over him into the corner for the first try for the Springboks 18 minutes into the game. The conversion was missed by the Springboks. Before this try was scored, Springboks did have a penalty, so the scoreboard was 3 points to 6 before the try was scored, but then the conversion was missed after this try was scored, so the scoreboard was 8 points to 6. Springboks leading a little bit. And then the first scrum, like I said, the Springboks really was dominant. I think this was the second scrum now. Basically, Gargio got completely folded up by Mount Herbe. It looked like he might have got injured as well. It was really brutal in the scrummage in there. 22 minutes into the game, Springboks had a penalty. Mine in the block misses this one. 25 minutes into the game, the Springboks has a penalty. So this is the playbook of the Springboks. Something that they probably should have done more in the second half. So they set up a more 50-meter out from the Argentina try line. It's because nobody was expecting this, right? So the Springbok just sets them all up and just start them all just like basically hammering down the field. And then Argentina had to basically sack this more illegally, gets a penalty, gives away the penalty, and then the Springboks kicks the ball down, gets a 5-meter line out, gets a penalty. Yeah, man in the box kicks this ball. This was basically like just outside the 5-meter line. So suddenly the Springboks gets a second opportunity to crack for a try. Go for another more to more. Just shy of 5 meters from the just bit over 5 meters actually over in front of the Argentina try line. And sure enough, they go for the more. The more was, Argentina recognizes the urgency, stops the more, and then the Springboks started to adding all their backs into the more, and then just edged the more forward. Had a good platform set up, or just not moving. So the backs joined in, and Damien Dialendi steals this one from a hard-working forward. I think the forwards union is gonna have a chat with you, Damien. That is not your try to score. I think there might be a fine, or maybe some kind of boycott. Maybe Damien has to buy everyone drinks. Every forward drinks. Actually, drinks might be too easy for him. He probably has to buy everybody dinner, which is going to cost me like $1 million to feed all the 4-pack. But yes, the forwards union's not happy with that. They're going to have a chat with you, stealing that try. And then, yeah, Damien Dialendi gets the ball at the back the more, and then runs basically just darts through when it was really close to the try line. And, so after this try was scored, there was 37 minutes in the game just before halftime. There was a pretty weird situation where it was looked like a knock on into like an offside player by the Springboks, and it was getting so another penalty for Argentina, and this was 40 plus meters out, and Carrera slots this one. So 3 from 3 so far for Carrera. So you think that's gonna be good enough for them in the second half? But second half, his goal kicking just completely fell off the wheel for some reason. Especially considering that he was able to kick 40 meters with no problem. In the second half, he was kicking goals he was missing goals that was a lot easier than this one that just before halftime. 39 minutes into the game, just before halftime, an Argentina player knocked himself out. Who was it that got knocked himself out? I think it was one of the forwards. Anyway, one of the Argentinian players knocked himself out onto Dwayne Vermeulen's hip. Low tackles were rugby skyline. They obviously don't do this kind of research because, if you actually play rugby, you would know that it's very easy to get your head in the wrong spot in a low tackle and get yourself knocked out. I've done it myself. So the worldwide rugby skyline of low tackles, proven that probably needs to be rethink about it. And I think a shoulder to shoulder tackle with the risk of accidental head collision is actually a lot safer than making the defender go low every time. That's my opinion, but hey, let me know your thoughts on that. So the second half starts. There was again, the Argentinians came out with a lot of just ferocity, a lot of determination, a lot of really good kicking game, controlling the territories. For around the 50-minute mark, the Argentinians was so close to the score, and Dwayne the Rock Vermeulen stops this try from scoring, turns over the ball like literally in front of the try line. Argentina, South Africa was not able to exit out cleanly from this turnover. Argentina was back onto the front foot again, controlling the possession, controlling territory. Lots of pressure. A few minutes later, Huaga Smith saves the day by ripping the ball out just in front of try line once again, and then the Springboks was trying to release the pressure with a penalty, and then failed to find touch. The Springboks were really struggling to exit. You get those penalties that desperately need, and then you just fail to find touch. Really, not ideal situation. But the Argentinians was back on the front foot. No, they did find touch, I think, and it was just, I think it was turnover or something on the breakdown. But anyway, Argentina gets a penalty from this. Just again, this was right in front, like bit of an angle, should have been easily kicked, but Carreras misses one. on the 60th minute. Again, really more defense by the Springboks. Argentinians looking probably out of a little patience, and then Faf de Klerk redeems his poor decisions to put high balls in constantly. Takes an intercept, runs down the field, links up with the man in the block who runs free. This was 75 meters counter attack, goes in for the try. 22 points to 19, and at this point it was looking like the Springboks had the game in the bag going into the last 20 minutes or so. With about 10 minutes left on the clock, just over under 10 minutes actually, about 7 minutes left on the clock, Damien Dilendi gets the yellow card for deliberate knock on, and then Carreras to finally just before immediately after this yellow card was given, Argentina was able to find a bit more space, especially in the backline defense. Carreras takes on the defensive line about 5 meters short from the try line. He takes on the defensive line and throws a nice pass to Maroney, who crashes through the advantage line, and then he pops the ball up off the ground to to the other Carreras, to what's his name? The winger, the Carreras. So Santiago Carreras was not the guy. It's the so Martio Carreras pops out Martio Carreras, who goes in for the first try to Argentina. Suddenly looking like Argentina could potentially make a comeback. Still got time to score one try and maybe a penalty. At this point, you're starting to think that those penalties that the Argentinians miss is maybe starting to come back to hurt them. And then, again, the Faf de Klerk gets the ball, okay? This was a huge error from him. He gets the ball. This was, again, the Springboks was applying a bit of pressure. Like, you can't lose the game inside the opposition half, right? Deep inside the opposition half, controlling the ball, especially when you have a player in the bin. You want to hold on to the ball. You can't lose the game if you have the ball, right? And you can't even concede points if you hold on the ball inside the opposition 20, inside the opposition, deep inside the opposition half, right? And for some reason, Faf de Klerk decides it's time for a high ball into the 22, like he's done a few times now in this game. He kicks the high ball into the 22. Santiago Carreras diffuses one again. He didn't, and then they just took a quick tap, quick run, spread the ball out wide, and then just counter attack down the sideline. They ran down the side, they chipped the ball forward, and the what's his name, Cheslin and Kobe have to scoop this ball up, and then gets tackled in goal. Like this was literally a 90-meter counter attack, ended up a 5-meter scrum to Argentina. Yeah, this was really, really a bad decision by Faf de Klerk there, I felt. And the Argentina has a 5-meter scrum. They pounded the South Africans defended. Penalty advantage. Eventually took overtime into the clock, 82 minutes. After a lot of pick and goes, finally the Betrano, the reserve halfback, gets the ball. He spots a gap in front of him, darts through for the final try to finish the game right in under the goalpost. Carreras kicks this one, and 1 point short, 22 points to 21. The Springboks was able to hold out this one, and this was a good match. This was a good display from Argentina. I felt a lot of it really surprised me. I thought this was going to be much bigger margin for the Springboks, considering how dominant the 4-pack was in the first half. And Argentina really came out in the second half and prove to the fans, prove to the rugby world that they are here to knock out England from the rugby pool stage. No, actually, Japan has to beat England somehow to knock England out of the pool stage. But Argentina is definitely looking to set foot into the quarterfinals and then potentially go further. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on this game. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I do appreciate it. And all the support you have for me I'm really grateful for that. And I'll see you guys next week for the news. And thanks for watching. Have a good one. Cheers.